Testing 1 2 1 2, and we are back live, back to back. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Half a day. Guten Tag, buenos dias, buenas tardes y noches. What's up? Welcome back. And as my grandma would say, hey y'all, we are back to back live with another special guest. Shout out to my guest from last night, Randy Malakas. I think it's DJ Ranger X, Black Belt Jiu-Jitsu extraordinaire. Man, appreciate you for hanging out with me, Mac Daddy. We gotta get the whole crew back together. But before I get into the formalities, man, let me give my shout outs to the one, the only, my sponsor, aka my wife, Household 6. The boss. She's working and I'm back on grandpa duties. I got baby Banner in here with me. See if I outsmarted the cat today. But yeah, man, Jewel Junkie, man, who adds style to your smile, $5 at a time. You can look like $1,000,000 without breaking the bank. Check her out at jewelJunkie.com. That's GEWELJUNKEE.com. Check her out, man. And shout out to the fiercely favorite bling bosses, man, and all the people out there, all you entrepreneurs, and all you guys is doing great and wonderful things. Small businesses, support the local small businesses in your area. Man, you'll find some gems out there. So get out there and check those guys out. Shout out to all the nonprofits. The one I work with, the Augusta Dream Center. If you ever in the area, man, come out and volunteer or just stop by and say what's up. We're doing some great things out there. Come check us out. And let's see. Man, can y'all believe it is almost October? It's October pretty much. It's the end of September. And all of the pumpkin spices in the building. They accidentally got me pumpkin spice cake, and I'm not a pumpkin spice person, but it was actually pretty good, so I enjoyed it. The other thing that happens is you get to have your chili cook-offs. And we're going to talk to my guest tonight about chilies because he like peppers and he like a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to bring in my guest, the one, the only. I don't know if he's the only, but he's the one, Matthew Wegner. What's going on with you? How you doing, sir? Are you in the building?
How are you doing?
Let me see. Look, I'm not even on camera. Where am I at? Hold up. Let me bring this thing in. I had one eye on baby Banner. I hope he don't hulk out on me. We be fighting up in here. I'm like, dude, I'm the boss. I'm the one in charge. You 5 months. You listen to me, and he be talking back, and I'm like, okay. Well, I guess I'm not gonna win that battle.
So no, you never do.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It feels like it's been a lifetime since the last time I seen you in person.
I know. I'm afraid if I grew my beard out, it'd have more white in it than yours does.
Look, after that last duty station, I'm sure you'll have a lot of white hair, sir.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I got to spend some time with the Jordans last week.
Did you?
In San Diego. Yeah, I went up there and I was like, man, they in San Diego too. So I hit them up. And they were going to take me out for dinner, but then they was like, I'm going to cook for you. So they had me to the house, and we got to sit down and talk, life, leadership, and just their appreciation for, all the leaders that helped them get there.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear they're doing well, and hope their family's doing well too. So
yeah, absolutely. So, are you looking forward to this fall with the pumpkin spice everything?
I am. I already got some pumpkin spice Belvita or whatever biscuits. So yeah, I've started that already. So down them. They're done.
I do enjoy the pumpkin spice coffee with the lattes and stuff like that. I will partake in that, but I'm not the cakes. I'm not so big on the cakes. I like plain cakes.
Yeah.
All right, sir, we're gonna jump into this thing. We got some guests in the building, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. You get a chance to go ahead and let us know where you're watching from and who you are. I can't see you until you say something, so appreciate you for coming out. And sir, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And how do you know me?
So I am originally from Clear Lake, Iowa, which our claim to fame is that is the last place that Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens played before they died in a plane crash north of town. So they played their last gig there.
Wow.
So it's a small town. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army, a veterinary corps officer, and a pathologist. So right now I am the director of the Food Analysis and Diagnostic Lab down at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. So it's another assignment that snuck up on me that I didn't have on my radar, but bring it like into the upper 80s for highs instead of over 100 like it was when I got here for about 3 weeks. So, and how do I know you? I have the distinct honor and pleasure of being your final commander in the United States Army and serving as the presiding official at your retirement ceremony, which was a little light because there was a new arrival in the Gifford family who's sitting behind you right now. So
yeah, he's down there. Yes, he is. Yes. Look, Sergeant Sergeant Cindy Ho says, "Ciao, glad to see you both."
Oh, Sergeant Ho, glad to hear from you.
She's over.
So it's kind of fun. We do the food surveillance lab course down here, and so I get to run into former soldiers. I don't think you were around when Sergeant Cepeda was there, but he was one of the former Great Lakes soldiers that I ran into. I saw him this week, so it's fun seeing those soldiers rotate through here and catching up with them.
That's awesome, sir. The Faddle.
Yes.
Our arch nemesis. We could never. We be like, we got it this time. 100%, no issues. Give me a call real quick, Chief A. Chief A. Woo.
Yeah, she want to throat punch you, huh?
Yes, she do. She do. I'm like, Chief, I swear we went over this. We just did the class before we had to send the stuff off, and still. Yeah. It's wonderful. So, sir, how long you been serving?
So, just over 18 years now. So, obviously 2 more until I hit 20, but by some stroke of luck, I was selected for colonel. So, trying to decide if I stay in for that high 3 and increase my pension, or that would be my daughter's senior year, my 3rd year in, and I'm not sure she wants to be a part because they're up in South Dakota and I'm down here living in a camper. So, we'll have to see what we do.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely big decisions, but I know family's top priority for you. So, that's and you've been all over the world. So,
yes,
before we get into the journey and the ventures all over the world, what ties do you have to the military? So, like, what was the deciding factor that drew you in?
So I had one of my maternal grandfather served in World War II. He had to go through basic training twice because he was supposed to be an infantryman, and then they reclassified him to artilleryman. So he had to go through again, and he actually earned a Purple Heart. There was a artillery round that blew up in a tree, and he had an injury to his eye that left him almost blind. So he served, and then during the big one, as my grandpa Fred called it, WWK, but we don't call it a war, it's a conflict. Yeah. He served during that, but he was stateside in Selma, Alabama, and he helped train some of the pilots on some of the equipment that they use to navigate in for landings. So I would think it's a combination of that, and then I watched a lot of war movies, Rambo and Arnold growing up, and Navy SEALs, and so I'd always had this desire to want to serve, and so I was fortunate that I applied for an ROTC scholarship in high school, and so I was able to get a 3-year scholarship with them, so that kind of checked the box on my way into the Army and getting to go to college, and so that's kind of how I ended up here. It took a 4-year break for vet school and then came on active duty in 2004. So
nice. So there's other options than going straight in. You could go to school on ROTC.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if college is something you know you want to do, apply for the ROTC scholarship, and if you get it, great. You can go on. If you don't, there's other options once you get on active duty, like Green to Gold program,
Right.
OCS, and if you just want to serve your 4 years and tap out and go get your degree, that's fine too. So there are lots of options.
So when you first came in, after watching all the Commando and Rambos and all those movies, how much time did you initially plan on doing?
So I talked about this at your retirement ceremony, how we plan and God laughs.
That's right. That's right.
So my plan was to come in, do my 5-year payback for ROTC, and get out and go back to Minnesota and be a pig vet.
Okay.
So that would have been in 2009, and 2009. So here I am, 13 years past that. So obviously things took a different turn, but I couldn't be happier with where I'm at. And so
yeah, that's good stuff, sir. So let me ask you this. So like, you made the decision to go green to gold. I'm not green to gold, but ROTC. And then you came in and you did your stuff. What made you choose the vet field, veterinarian?
Another one. I'm probably the outlier. Most people go to vet school or become a veterinarian because they want to, work with animals, or they like working with animals. For me, it was a different situation. So my wife and I were planning on getting married, and she wanted to go to vet school. So we looked at our options, and the options were, she go to vet school, I go in the Army, and we're apart for 4 years while she goes to vet school. She puts off vet school for 5 years and comes to be with me during the Army. Or the option 3, course of action 3, as we say in the military, was I applied to vet school. So when we were dating, I wanted to be a biology teacher and she wanted to be a veterinarian. And we went to vet school together. We spent 4 years every day together, almost the same classes and labs.
Wow.
When I came on active duty, we were out in Washington State, and she interviewed for a job at a clinic there, and it didn't go well, not because of her, but the clinic just wasn't a good fit for her. And our son was 9 months old at the time, and she decided it wasn't time for her to go to work. And so she decided to be a stay-at-home mom, and now she's homeschooling our 3 kids. We successfully got one off to college, and so she's the teacher and I'm the vet. So it's funny how it worked out.
But you still got to work with some of the biology stuff, though, right?
Yeah, some of it. I got to go help my son with the marine science camp, be a counselor for that, and I do some teaching with them. Not as much as I should or I would like to, but yeah.
Yeah. So being my last commander, we spent a lot of time, it was virtual time a lot of times, but we spent a lot of time talking. I got to know you, some things on different TDYs, but 18 years in service. What are some of the pros and cons? I mean, you've had some interesting, we've run into some similar people, but you had some pretty interesting assignments. So what's some of the pros and cons?
So just so everyone knows, so my first assignment was at Fort Lewis. So that was before they called it JBLM, or Joint Base Lewis McChord. But I worked at Fort Lewis for a year and then McChord for a year. Then I went up to Fort Wainwright, Alaska, which is interior Alaska. The real Alaska, as we like to call it, not Seattle Light down in Anchorage. Then I did 6 years out on the East Coast in the Baltimore, DC area, and then 4 years over in Bangkok, Thailand at a small research institute over there. And then Fort Knox, Kentucky as command, and now down in San Antonio. So, some of the pros, obviously travel is a big thing. And, when we were over in Bangkok, we really got to travel all over Asia, from New Zealand up north to Korea and Japan, and all the way west to India and Nepal, and even taking some trips to Britain or England and Italy. So just that exposure to different cultures for them, and seeing how different cultures, what they're like, their cultural arts, and how they interact with people is good. It's a very enriching experience for them. One of the great things in the military is if you don't like who you're working with or working for, chances are in a year or two, one of you is going to move.
Yep.
So there's that opportunity, but also the opportunity to work with a lot of different people. And I still keep track of, some of my NCOs. One of my specialists from Alaska just got promoted to E7
Wow.
a month ago, and I happened to see her last week, and we spent a walk around Camo Hill at Fort Carson just talking and catching up. And so, forming those relationships is really nice. Fitness, I probably would not work out or be as healthy as I am if someone didn't make me. And so the Army is very good at making me. And so it's something I'm really focusing on now, is my personal fitness with weight loss, and trying to better level of fitness, not only for me, but for my family. Some of the cons, again, it's similar as the pros, moving, every 2 or 3 years, it's hard for the family. It takes, a while to get settled into a place, and then to kind of meet friends and make friends. And then by the time you get all that done, it's time to say goodbye. And so, that's been hard for the kids, harder as they grew up. Probably the hardest move for them. For the oldest too is when we moved from Thailand, because they had some really, really great friends at Aberdeen Proving Ground. So I would say that's probably the hardest, is just the moving and making friends, and just being, having to relearn everything when you get to a new assignment, find out where the Walmart is, where they're going to go for dental care, just finding a new church, all that stuff.
Yeah, that is rough. And as a military brat, growing up dependent, it was hard. But now it's like, when anywhere I travel, I have friends all over the place. So it has its benefits, but it is hard when you're little. You gotta get back in. Like my daughters, when we moved to California, they weren't there, so the people didn't know them. And like you trying to play on the sports team, now we got, oh no. Even though you can try out, if I don't know you and I know this person, or their parent is the local mayor or whatever, and that person might not be that good, but they're over the PTA, whatever,
Yeah,
they're gonna be on the team. So it was hard. You try to just encourage them.
Mm-hmm.
So while you were in Thailand, you developed a love for peppers, or was that before Thailand?
I've always liked spicy food, but being over there really took it to another level, and especially more for my family, because I think the spiciest thing they would eat was ketchup before we went over there. And so now they actually enjoy some spicy food, like it a little spicier. So I'm happy for that. So they don't make fun of my Tabasco when I get it out and put it on my food. So
yeah, and you made your own hot sauce, right? Or was it hot sauce, or was it pepper?
Yeah, it's hot sauce with I think the picture I sent you, I had jalapenos, habaneros, serranos, and some Thai chilies, and some garlic, onion, olive oil, salt and pepper, and just put it in the blender until it's blended, and then boil it on the stove for a couple minutes and put it in some jars. So yeah, I've still got some. It's good. Every batch is different. It depends on the peppers.
Okay. And how do you manage the heat level? I forget what they call it.
The Scoville units?
Yes. How do you measure that? Because I like it hot, but I like the tasty hot. It's like, it's hot, but it's like, it's flavorful, not just, oh my God, I'm dying hot.
Yeah, we went to some chicken place in Louisville, and I ordered like the hottest one, and all it was like a bunch of cayenne and chili powder mixed with oil and dumped on this like chicken tenders, and it's like, it was hot, yeah, but there was no flavor to it. So I like heat with the flavor. If it's just hot for the sake of heat, then I'm not really into it. So the only way to get used to it is just eat spicier foods.
Yeah.
Just like the only way you're gonna get stronger is lifting more weights.
That's true. Okay, so being 18 years in service, doing PT, you have to do PT, right? In most places. We have injuries that happen to us, and I know, there's times where you made mention to, service members, soldiers in my unit, all of us that was in the battalion size element, that, when you're injured, you got to take care of that injury, and, taking care of that injury, it doesn't mean just not doing the PT, right? When you faced those injuries and things like that, how did you manage getting over that, physically and mentally? How did you manage that?
So I'm gonna take this a little different direction, if you don't mind. because this is something that's very important to me, and I think we need to talk about it more. And that's, we have our physical injuries. Oh, you got to hold them up. I want to see it. Oh my goodness!
Say,
It
"Hey,
almost
sir."
makes me want to have another one.
Hey,
He's
sir.
so cute.
Say what's up. Say, I'm Baby Banner. Yes, I am in charge. I'm fussing at people, right?
You gonna smile?
Yeah, he's gonna rip everything and tear my beard and everything.
Yeah.
All right.
So I want to take this a little different direction first, and then I can circle back to your original question. But again, something you probably remember hearing me talk about, and that's mental health and
Right.
wellness. So I think we need to start treating mental health, depression, anxiety, whatever, just like we do a physical injury. If you broke your leg, you go in and get help for it.
Right.
But we have folks that are depressed or anxious, PTSD, that don't want to go in and get help. So I'll just share briefly. So I struggled with this for probably longer than I should have, and it was finally 2008 when I got tired of being tired and run down and just not interested in anything and just having no motivation to do anything. And so I finally went into behavioral health and got some help, did talk therapy and, did some antidepressant medication. But so this was in 2008. So I was a captain at the time.
Okay.
And at the time there was a stigma because I would go into behavioral health in uniform and there'd be a specialist or a sergeant there, and they'd see my rank and do a double take because to them, that's the company commander. The company
Right.
commander can't have mental health issues.
That's
They
right.
can't have problems. They got to be, rock solid and, never have anything wrong with them. So, so for 4 years I was on the treatment. And then after that, I did some talk therapy for a while, and then everything seemed to be going okay. So I stopped. And then this past November, I had two people, a civilian and one of my E6s, both separately come to me and say, "Hey, sir, how are you doing? Are you doing okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just a little stressed or tired." And I'm like, why do you ask? They're like, "Oh, you just don't seem yourself." So the next day I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? If two people are coming to me and talking to me about this and noticing that something's wrong, even though I'm very, very hard to read, as you can probably attest to,
Yes, sir.
maybe I need to go talk to somebody again. So, I went back into behavioral health and, again, started, talk therapy and working through some stuff that I should have worked through 10 years ago, but was too scared to. And, I've done that. I'm in a good place now. And, so I think that's something we need to encourage people, especially those in the military, don't be afraid of that. And I know people will say, well, it's going to affect my career. It's going to affect your career if whatever is affecting you is affecting your work and decreasing your performance and potential. That's going to affect your career.
That's right.
I spent 5 days in an inpatient treatment facility, and I got a top secret SCI clearance. Okay. But I disclosed that and it wasn't an issue. And so people say it'll affect my career, it'll affect my clearance. No, it won't, as long as it wasn't court ordered or if it was voluntary or whatever. Recognizing the need in that actually can be looked on favorably because it shows you recognize something you got help before it became an issue.
That's right.
So that's extremely important. So I know recruiters, if there's anyone in the military out there, recruiters, depression or some of these behavioral health issues may restrict you from becoming a recruiter, but that's because they're looking out for you. They don't want you to be out in the middle of nowhere where there isn't help that you need and have something horrible happen to you, harm to self or others. So I'll lead off with that. So circling back, yes, I did have multiple injuries for which I did not go get a profile because I didn't want to be on profile. And plus, I knew what I could and couldn't do, and nobody was going to try to tell me to do more than I couldn't do as a battalion commander. So I was okay with that. But, I strained my calf twice, and I strained my Achilles heel. Both times I rested it for a couple weeks and then went out and tried running again. I didn't even get down from our headquarters to the Fort Knox VTF, which is 200 meters away, before I had to pull up and stop. And so I think I would hope people would learn from my mistakes. And, when you're injured like that, just go in and talk to physical therapy, get an appointment for physical therapy. They know how to get you back on the right track. And, going on profile, even though I didn't do it myself, it's not a bad thing for soldiers to do. it protects them, it protects the command, and it allows you time to rehabilitate and heal. So it was frustrating to me that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, even though I hate running. I miss it when I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do the elliptical or the bike inside just because it's boring and I can't get into it.
Right.
So it was frustrating. I just had to tell myself, I'm going to heal. I'm going to get through this, and I'll be stronger on the other end when I get through this, and be able to, it's going to take me some time to ramp back up, but I'll get back to where I was and where I need to be.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you hit on the fact for the mental health part, because even if you're not battling with mental health issues, when you do have that injury, and like the time frame where you was talking about, when people it was a negative stigma as far as you going in and you being in sick call, and it's some leaders just made it hard for you to feel comfortable with going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate you saying that, because I'm guilty of that as well. I didn't think that I had my medical records would cover stuff, because I didn't. Because when you grow up in the military around in the medical field, you have PAs, you have doctors, you have medics, friends that you can go to and be like, hey, this is hurting, and it may never hit your record.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were deployed in Saber Guardian, I think it was, and this storm came through, knocked our tents down, and so we were out there staking down the tents, trying to get stuff back together, and it pulled, and one of my ribs dislocated, and that kid, it was so hard to breathe, it was so painful. I didn't go to the troop clinic or nothing like that.
Yeah.
I walked over to the tent where it was the mental health doctor who used to be physician assistant, and he's like, hey, first sergeant, come over here, sit down. I laid on the thing, and I was like, it's really hard for me to breathe, sir. He started rubbing that joker, and then he found it, boom, popped it back in. Instantly, I could breathe better. That didn't go in my records.
Yeah, and people aren't thinking about that, when they're, in their first 4 years of their enlistment, especially the junior enlisted.
Yeah.
They either want to tough it out, or because they don't want to be seen as weak or broken or something. But yeah, as I get closer to retirement, I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have got this document in my record, because if it's something that's service related,
That's right.
you're owed that compensation if it's deemed to affect, have a persistent effect on you.
And that's anything from you fell down during a run, you rolled your ankle during a company run, you got hit in the head when you was doing up, they see me, I'm down. Any of that stuff. When they were asking me this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I did, but I never got checked out for that. It was like, okay.
I fell off the top of the Weaver and landed on my back, and the NCO just looked at me and goes, sir, you can't do that.
No,
that was it. I was okay. I was able to get up, but those things happen. We don't think about going and getting checked out and make sure we're okay.
Look,
so
you self-assess and you jump up and try to finish it out, right?
Yeah. The Weaver at Fort McCoy this last spring was much easier.
Okay.
Because it had smaller diameter logs instead of these ones that were like 16 inches around. You barely grab.
You barely grab them things. Oh, yeah. I had one of those for a competition. I think it was the for SLC. I think it was one like that. We were out at, was it Bullis? No, it was a leadership course that they have out there on Camp Bullis. Yeah. But I don't remember if they were that big. I just remember one place that it was a soldier, a female soldier, who was maybe as tall as Sergeant Ho, and she fell off of the Weaver too, and it was like slow motion because I'm grading her, and I couldn't get over there, but they had the huge thing on there, so she hit that pad.
Yeah, we didn't have net. It was just wood chips. 12 feet up, flat on my back. So.
Oh my god. Oh, that's not good. You got to get that. You got to get checked out and let them know that. And also, you guys, I'm guilty of doing this, and I confessed it when I was going through my physical. On your, don't just go through the motions on your PHAs, right? Tell them the truth. We're trying to get in and get out of there super fast. I remember the worst one, and you see the memes about the hearing booth, right? they got smarter with it because now they put you in there and it's kind of like you can't really see the people next to you. But you know, one point when I was deploying in 2008, me and Colonel Mann, we got held back. You know Colonel Mann?
I know who he is, yeah.
And we got held back. And I'm like, yo, what happened? They was like, you know, we got to send y'all back through. It's like you failed basically. And I was like, oh my God. So what I used to do is I used to look at the person next to me basically. And when they were clicking, I would just be clicking. And I would also get the person in that says, please push the button only when you hear a noise. And I'm like, I was hearing a noise. So yeah, it was bad. It was bad. So yeah, that is something legit. They made me go back like 5 or 6 times for my hearing.
Yeah.
And so my wife be like, oh, that's why you can't hear. I'd be like, huh?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite jokes too.
Yeah, but yeah, I gotta hear, especially with this guy. Yeah, biting me. It's all good. All right, sir. So how would you encourage those, you know, those junior leaders or even some of the senior leaders that are aspiring to climb the ladder, right? But they're wrestling with some of those nagging injuries or that stigma of, you know, I can't be in a leadership position if I'm fighting these type of injuries.
So my advice would be, yeah, don't do what you and I did and either delay getting help or not get help. Just go get help right away.
Yeah.
The sooner you get help, the sooner you can get a physical therapy plan or get something together. You're gonna recover faster and come out of it stronger. Whereas if you wait, you know, you might aggravate it when you try to come back. You might try to, you know, come back too hard, too fast and make it worse. And,
right.
You know, I know there's always the risk that if you go in, you know, you may end up having something that's, you know, you're not medically fit for the Army. And I understand that's a risk. But, you know, you got to take care of yourself.
That's right.
So you just, if we can't count on you to be able to keep up, you know, when bullets are flying or whatever, then, you know, it's a risk to the entire team.
Absolutely. And we know firsthand that sometimes they may say that you are unfit for serving or you might not be deployable, but you can fight it and say, I can still serve and do my job on a TDA unit.
Yes, I know someone that went through a medical board and was retained by the Army. And, you know, if you have a permanent profile, I was just looking this up the other day for some reason, I don't know why, but you know, if you have a permanent profile, and you think it's wrong, I think you or the commander can request that it's reevaluated to see if it really is needs to be a permanent profile, or whether it can be downgraded, you know, to something else, maybe a temporary profile, or. Yes. But at least that way it's documented in your record. But yeah, there are ways to appeal those if you're not happy with what they're saying.
Okay. All right. So now that it's gone, what was your true opinions on that leg tuck? Would you rather have it, or do you know you like what they have now?
All I will say, and I hope I'm not getting in trouble, is I would prefer 5 seconds of leg tuck to 1 minute and 10 seconds of the plank. That being said, I have made a conscious effort to work on improving my planks. So right. It's probably good for me to do that, and because I think it probably is a better measure of core fitness. Right. You know, 1 minute and 10 seconds of plank is harder than doing, you know, 4 or 5 leg tucks, which is what I was doing before.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. I would definitely rather. It was to the point to where you could jump up there and do 1 leg tuck and be done.
Yep.
But if you have to do that plank, you're gonna feel that plank more after in the run than you are that 1 leg tuck that you had to, you know, 1 or 2 or 3, how many ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my opinion too. I much rather have that leg tuck than that plank. But we did train for the plank when we didn't have the bars for the leg tuck. We did. Yeah. We were, and it was a beast. It was hard.
It goes official on Saturday. It's the official physical fitness test of record on Saturday.
Oh, really? So
yep.
This next one, October. It's gonna be the first one.
October 1st.
Well, good luck to all of you out there that's gonna be taking the test officially. Yeah, man, good luck to you. Make sure you eat a good meal the night before and don't do anything crazy.
Yeah, my advice for that is like I was a little disappointed because I could max, push-ups and sit-ups and do okay on the run.
Yeah.
The the ACFT, I'm not going to max probably any of the events.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, I just go out and I just try to have fun.
That's right.
And enjoy it. And that makes it a little better rather than something I have to dread that, drag myself around and go do all this stuff. But if you say, hey, I'm just here to have fun doing I'm okay with that for myself.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, and I felt the same way. Like, I thought I could possibly max 1 or 2, but not nowhere near all of them, right? But I felt like it was like a field day.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because in the old test, you get in line, they be like, turn around, don't look at the person that's getting tested. It's all quiet, and the only thing you hear is the grader counting. On this one, everyone can cheer and yell and scream, or as you get the more of the competitive juices going, I like that part of it. It builds the camaraderie, and if you're lined up with your platoon or squad or whatever, you're competing. You know how we used to do, talk trash.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I enjoy it. I hope that people can take that aspect of it or just enjoy it, man.
Yeah, so I go running on the track at the parade field, here at Fort Sam, and I'll see units out doing the ACFT, and just like you said, they're cheering each other on, rooting for everyone to do their best, and it inspires me as I'm running by them, even though they're not cheering for me.
Yeah.
It's good to see that camaraderie and that teamwork, even though it's an individual effort.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna pivot. If you can change 3 things in the world, what would they be?
So I'm so glad you were kind enough to send these questions out, because for anyone that doesn't know, I'm a slow processor and it takes me a while to come up with an answer. I joke around I'd be a horrible lawyer because I'd object like 2 minutes too late, and my client would be on death row because of it or something. So I think something we've lost that I would like to see restored is open-mindedness. Just being willing to listen to someone whose ideas are different than yours. You don't have to accept them. You don't have to agree with them, but just be willing to listen to them and to tag on. So the next thing kind of follows that is critical thinking. So being able to think about what they're saying. It's really hard to, when someone disagrees with you, and I'm 100% guilty of this, especially with my wife. If she says something that I don't like, my knee jerk is to disagree with her. And so, it's something that I'm working on too, but just being able to have that mind, have open mind, open heart to listen to what someone else's thoughts, opinions, feelings are on something, and then to think critically about it, and not think critically as to, as a means to go after their ideas, or criticize them, or tell them that they're foolish for thinking that, but just acknowledging, how that they have a right to think what they want to think, and you don't have to agree with it. And you know what? You don't have to voice that you agree or disagree with it. So kind of the third thing, these all tied together. I'm probably dating myself and aging myself, but with this one, and there's probably, I hope folks don't leave your talk because of this, but honestly, I would get rid of social media. I think it has some really great features, but I think, I don't know. I see it more as an overall negative. You have a few, we have these influencers out there that, they're not any smarter or any more qualified than anyone else, but they spout things off and, people just believe it.
Yep.
Or they follow it and they listen to it. And, this is general. I'm not talking red, blue, conservative, liberal, anything like that.
Right.
It's everywhere and it's everyone. And then along with that, I had to stop using YouTube because I would get on it on the weekends and spend, an hour or two on there. My kids would come in and be like, "Dad, what are you doing? Watch this video. Be quiet. Leave me alone." That's what I would say to them, and it's sad. So finally I recognize it. And I'm like, I got to stop. I just can't be on this. So I don't have Instagram. I don't have Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, any of these things. And, personally, I'm fine with that. Yeah. The only thing I do have is LinkedIn. Because I think that's important for networking, in a professional sense, looking towards, retirement and stuff. So
that's right.
I think those are the 3 things that I would change. Like I said, I think they all kind of tie together.
Yeah, those are good, sir. And absolute, I'm guilty of the YouTube. My wife would be like, "Hey, I need you to do this," and I'll be in the middle of one video. I'm like, "I'm gonna finish this video," and then I'll go do whatever she like. Okay, yes, honey. and then
And then the next one starts, and the next one an hour later, she's like, "Why haven't you done this?
have you have you did this thing yet? I'm like,
When did you ask me to do that?"
I was supposed to finish this one video, and I look back and it's like 30 videos later. Oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, YouTube has its place. I love looking it up for how-to videos.
Oh, yes.
But just the silly things cats do, or I don't know, ultimate fails. Those are funny and make me feel good about myself for a little bit. But it's easy to get sucked in, and you waste a bunch of time that you could be spending doing something productive, like spending time with your family, or reading, or going for a walk or something. So
that's right. But that's how they get you, is with the how-to videos, and then they sprinkle some other stuff in there.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this video is different. I'm going to watch this one and see if they got a better way of doing it, because I don't like this way.
It's so bad, but I'm so guilty. Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
I was just having a moment with myself, like one video, that's it, and then you got to go do what you got to do, especially with this guy.
Yeah,
that guy, he's doing good.
Although YouTube does come in handy to, and then I shouldn't be doing this either, but to entertain kids when we need to do something else. So my son, when he's sick, he'll watch Peppa Pig for hours on end, because it kind of, to the point that when he was sick down here in Texas, he had the phone, and I think I'll demonstrate. So he had the phone here, and he'd be like, and he's still watching Peppa Pig, and then he's like, so it was a way to help him get through that.
Yeah, and then some stuff that they don't show anymore that you can find on YouTube. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man, so awesome, sir.
Yeah.
We to know that you're not the only person that's going through some of those things.
Well, I tried to delete my Facebook account. This was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And I went in to try to delete it, and Facebook said I couldn't. And it said my password was incorrect. So I logged out, logged back in. Tried it again, said my password was incorrect. So I created a new password that I don't to this day remember and didn't write down. And then I was able to delete my account. So they make it extremely difficult to get rid of your account. So
absolutely. Look, he just fell asleep. I'm gonna sit him in this thing. Oh, he likes noise.
Must be my soothing voice.
Probably, but he likes noise. So when it gets quiet, is when it's to worry.
Yeah.
All right, bud. Here you go. There you go. There. Yes. Good job. All right, sir. So we got permission to jump inside of the time machine. If we could go back in time and have a conversation with anybody, who would you pick to have that conversation with, and why?
God, this is a tough one to just pick one.
You can give it two.
Okay, so they're kind of related again. All my answers seem to be related. I must be really smart. So the first one I go back and talk to is Martin Luther. He's the father of the Reformation back in the 1500s. In 1517, October 31st, he nailed the 95 Theses to the church wall, to the church door, basically explaining the issues that he had with the Catholic Church at the time. And so, he risked a lot to do that. First of all, excommunication, so permanently being cut off from the church, which,
right.
If you know Martin Luther, that was, he was a priest at the time. And that was something that, he really struggled with. He also risked death. I mean, it was, what he was doing, standing up against the Pope was, extremely risky, but, he did it anyway. So heresy. And so I think he's probably one of the most under-recognized and underappreciated forces that have influenced, the Western world. It's just, I think they go back and talk to him because he's such an amazing person. What he did, with translating the Bible and all the work he did, and his many publications. And so I am a member of the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, and just what he did was just absolutely amazing, especially for that time.
Right.
Because people had tried in the past and couldn't really drive the change that he needed to change. So I think just going and sitting at his table and listening to the conversations between him and his students, and his wife and his kids would just be a joy to do. So the second one is also Martin Luther. So I think in the 1930s there was a pastor from Alabama that went on a tour to Germany and learned about Martin Luther and named his son Martin Luther. So it's Martin Luther King Jr. And so, he'd be another one that I would like to go, because, what he did was, just like Martin Luther in his time, was what Martin Luther King Jr. did for our country was truly revolutionary. Just
Right.
a chance to talk to him and find out, just the courage he had to stand up to the system and nonviolent protests and everything he did. He risked his life as well. I mean, obviously, he was unfortunately died before we thought he should have, but it was God's time to call him home. But just to sit down and talk with him and learn from him. So I think Martin Luther's would be the ones that I would go back and talk to.
Yeah, those are two really good ones. When we were overseas, we got to go and to some of the areas where he was teaching, and where he really started his work, and big community, Lutheran community in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. I've always gotten some interesting answers on this one. So there's no wrong or right answer. I think some people, they kind of like, why would I do that? So I'm just gonna shoot it out there.
Okay.
If you can change one thing in your past, what would it be and why?
So this is a tough one. It's tough to talk about. I would choose to stop loving evil. So there have been toxic people in my life, not necessarily relatives. One toxic commander. Now they have a different term for it, disaffective leadership or something like that. But
Okay.
I would choose to stop loving evil. I think some of those people had a significant effect on me and my mental health and my life. And I think just recognizing that they weren't good for me, and it's better for me to be away from them, probably would have helped. And it would have helped if I would have done it sooner. But you're so blind to what's going on to you sometimes, and what's happening, and what those people are like. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt to see if that's really how they are, if they can change or want to change. But once you realize they're not, just letting go of them and just cutting ties. And it's tough, it's hard to do, but it's the right thing it was the right thing for me, for my mental health and for my family. So
that's good. The coming into the awareness, the knowledge of this isn't good for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. So how did you handle the first hard and serious leadership challenge that you encountered?
You want to take a guess at where this was at?
Fort Knox.
No.
This
was when I was 17 at McDonald's.
What?
And I was a crew supervisor. And we had this kid who he wanted to do his own thing, didn't want to listen to anyone, thought he knew best. And everyone, including myself, just constantly butted heads with him. And, I tried, whatever I did, he wanted to do the opposite. Whatever I said, he wanted to do the opposite. And finally I realized, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And so the next time I worked with him, I was like, hey, how's it going? He looked at me, he's like, what do you mean? It's like, how's it going? You have a good day so far? How's the shift going? He's like, oh, yeah, it's going okay. It's going pretty good. And, I just started trying to build a rapport and a relationship with them. And it got to the point that, I was the only one he listened to, which was good and bad. I mean, it's bad because the other folks couldn't find a way to work with him, and that he wasn't willing to, kind of reach out and try to help, to work with them. But, I was happy that I had found a way to work with him. And it just started with, just acknowledging him as a person and, showing some empathy and, starting with that he's a person first, not an employee.
That's right.
And who needs to do exactly what we say when we say it. So that was probably the first leadership challenge I dealt with, and I finally learned through Arbinger, what that is, and it's all about empathy. And if you have a problem with someone, you need to first look at yourself, not the person you're working with or dealing with, but more than likely there's something about yourself that you're not doing, or some mental block or bias or something that's affecting your interactions with that person. And once you can kind of work through that and recognize that there's a person on the other side of the desk or the other side of the fryer or grill or whatever, it goes much better.
Yeah, that's good, sir. Shout out to the Arbinger training. Good stuff. If you get a chance to do it, do it. If you did it before and then pay attention to it, do it again.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Very, very good training. I know I definitely benefited from it, not only in my professional life, but in my life at home. And realizing how I was getting into these justification cycles where my wife was mad at me, which justified me being mad at her, which justified her being mad at me. And it was horrible. Once I realized that that's what was happening, I'm not 100% on this. I snark back or make silly faces sometimes, but I try to be a little more understanding about it, so.
It wouldn't be marriage if you didn't do those things. You got to keep a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little bit of spice, right? Me and my wife do it, and I try to be intentional about the awareness of when I'm doing that, right? It's like, oh, you got an attitude? Okay, I can have an attitude too. That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer, guys.
And with us being apart now, we talk on the phone a lot. And so what do we do if someone says something we don't like? Hang up. And then what we usually do is we call back. One of us will call back, maybe 3-5 minutes later, and hey, how's it going? Oh, good. How are you? And we kind of realize
the conversation.
We'll start over. Yeah. So it's good.
That's good stuff. So another pivot. How did you feel when you realized you had a doppelganger in your ranks? Not only that looked similar to you, could pass, but had the same boots, glasses, and sounded like you.
Yeah, so the first time I encountered that was he come down to Fort Knox for training, and they said, Fort Knox people, sir, we met your doppelganger. I said, what do you mean? It's like, Sergeant so-and-so. It's like, oh, yeah. They're like, he looks like you, he sounds like you. I said, okay, fine, But we went up to meet him and did a site visit, and we're sitting down talking to him. And First Sergeant Villarreal was kind enough to point out, hey, sir, you're even wearing the same boots. So you shut up, okay? The interesting thing now is he's in the same brigade that I'm in. He's in the same command, so I see him on, team stuff or hear his name, and I always think about that. And I did enjoy having, he's a great soldier. He's a young guy stationed out by himself, but, he was, and I was scared about that because, having an E4 out by themselves, 5 hours from their supervisor is a little scary. But, he just did a bang up job. He was awesome. Couldn't have asked for a better soldier up there than we had there. And I hear he's doing great things at his current assignment out there. His leadership is truly impressed with him. So it's a joy for me to see that. I don't know that I contributed any to his success, but I can claim him as one of my former soldiers. And I'm always happy to see those soldiers that are succeeding and doing well.
Yeah. Same, sir. Same. And one of the things that I'm gonna speak on behalf of the soldiers while I was there. It's when the vet services, we have a unique thing where one unit can be spread over 5, 6, 7 states, right? And you and the first sergeant has to get to all of those people and give them time, and then you have to do that over a national pandemic.
Yeah.
And you guys really did a good job at that. I think, speaking for my guys, being up in the Chicago, Wisconsin, and Iowa area, we were doing pretty good. We fought a lot of battles. There was a lot of extreme issues that happened during that time frame, But I think that we MRT'd our way through it, and that's resiliency, trained ourselves through it. But whenever you guys would come down, the soldiers would always be like, "The commander's coming! Oh my God, we got to have another chili cook-off."
Yeah, I don't know if you guys planned those morale events around when we were going to be there. Or we just happened to show up.
It was y'all happened to show up, but they would be like, they would say whenever you guys are coming through, "Are we gonna do it?" I was like, "They're not gonna be here for that," But whenever we were having them, you guys were somewhere around the corner, like almost there or missing us or right on time. So that was cool.
Yeah. First Sergeant Villarreal and I, that was one of the things I was looking forward to in command was getting back to working with soldiers, because in Thailand, there was 168 Tango there, and a lot of Thai employees, which I loved working with. But I really wanted the chance to give the officers and soldiers that I worked for what I didn't get coming up through the ranks, and that was I didn't get counseled. Nobody sat me down and counseled me ever.
Yeah.
The first time I had anyone sit down and talk to me about my career was in early 2018. That was the first time someone sat me down and said, "Hey, Matt, have you ever thought about this?" So that was good. And, I just loved being around the soldiers. I didn't want them to think that the commander was this big, scary, bald, blind guy that, was going to come out and chew someone out. Because I wanted them to be able to trust us. And the only way for them to trust us is for us to show up, visit them, show them that, their work is important and we value that and we value them. And so, it got to the point when we would go down to Fort Campbell, we knew we were going to spend 2 to 3 hours with the junior enlisted soldiers. They were going to want to talk to us. And that's great because they trusted us enough to talk to us. And we showed them that, when they bring a problem up to us, that we're going to fix it. It was mostly First Sergeant Villarreal because it was typically an NCO problem. Yeah. But, and I enjoyed that. I liked getting to hear what's bothering them and what their problems are, because as Colin Powell said, you probably know the quote, as soon as people stop bringing you their problems, you have stopped being their leader.
That's right.
And
that's my favorite quote.
We're bringing me their problems up to the last week of command, and so I'm honored that they trusted me enough to do that. And I loved getting out and seeing the soldiers and seeing what they were doing and talking to them. So
that's awesome, sir. Well, we definitely appreciated your support during that storm. For me, I'm gonna say again, with my situation when I got there, I was like, I was supposed to have a whole year left in Europe. I was coming out of my first sergeant seat. I was gonna actually get to travel. I had weekends finally, because I'll tell you, sir, I was picking people up from jail every weekend. It was like I was sharing this story with someone. Me and one of the law enforcement guys, we shared a hearty laugh one time. He called. He was like, "Yes, I'm trying to get in touch with First Sergeant Gifford." And I just, I had just sat down. I had made the decision. I'm gonna have me a little bit of a drink. And and he called, and I was like, I just started laughing, and he started laughing, and then I said, "Oh, okay, hit me with it." He said, "It's not that bad this time." I said, "What's not that bad though? What is not that bad?" So, having that, knowing that, my D-Rose was changed. I'm going to a place that, I always said when I came in, I always wanted to go to locations I had never been before. So that was cool going to Chicago. But I was like, I didn't get to finish and tour in Europe like I wanted to. And then, all my soldiers was like, "You leaving us, Top? Yo, what's up with that? You like, I chose to do it." It's like I found out after serving Thanksgiving dinner that I'm leaving in 2 months. But you and the first sergeant really, y'all really helped with that process of transition and the storm that was going on there. You guys really supported us through that. And, you made it easier for me, and you allowed me to lead the way I lead.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. I felt like I had your support, or the command team, you and First Sergeant. So thank you so much.
The only time I went up there when I didn't, it wasn't for, just a visit, was, things blew up there, and my commander texted me and said, "Matt, you've got a shit storm in Great Lakes. What are you going to do about it?" I said, well, sir, I'm going to hop on a plane in a day or two if I can get my orders done and go up there. And
That wasn't when I seen you up there, was it?
no. This was
Before?
October
Okay.
of 2019.
Yeah. So it was right before I got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was a couple of commanders. I think one of your battle buddies. He pulled me aside. He was over the 64th at the time. And he said, hey, first I need you to come over and talk to me. And I came over to his office and he said, hey, look, I heard you got drafted. It's bad. It's bad. So, but you're the man to fix it. And I was like, thanks a lot, sir. I appreciate that.
Was that Colonel Levine?
It was.
Oh, yeah, we were OBC classmates. Yeah. And, a plug for you, I don't believe things happen without a purpose. And, I truly believe God sent you there because you were the right man for the job at that time. And it's correct. You were exactly what we needed at that time there to turn that place around. I know it wasn't fun to walk into that. It wasn't easy to deal with all that stuff. But, man, having you there made our jobs, so much easier. And, I can't thank you enough for the work and time and effort that you put in to really turn things around and rebuild the team. And I think a lot of that goes to those morale events like the chili cook-offs and, the other things that you plan. Investing in the team might be taking time out of work or from the mission, but, that investing in the team is so important. Like I said, because you guys can rally around each other. Like one time when we were leaving, we were at the airport and got a call that, someone's dad had passed away. And
right.
So, I wasn't worried about the team there because I knew you all were going to rally around them, take care of them, get them what they need. And so, we didn't have to worry about the branch up there. So awesome job.
Yes, sir. And shout out to that young individual who was my most junior soldier at the time. And she is now a sergeant.
Awesome.
Yes. And she is doing her thing. And she texts me 1,000,000 times a day, but it's okay. It's all right. That's what I said. I will be here for you. And I'm here, my military kids, I love it. It's an honor, it is truly an honor to be able to know that the thought comes like, oh, I can, now they instead of saying sergeant, they say, I can ask Pop a gift. They came up with that name, right? That was not me.
Oh, that was a good name. Yeah, it's fun running into the soldiers and, the former soldiers, and, they're not running away from you or trying to turn away, pretend like they don't see you, they're actually coming up and saying hi. And so that's great. I enjoy that. And I'm sure you do too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So, sir, 18 years, what are your most memorable leadership and personal experiences?
So my most memorable leadership experience, it was in December 2017. So I had been promoted to lieutenant colonel in September of that year. I was over in Thailand and I was asked to be the acting director, which is an 06 position. And, some other people had volunteered, but the director at the time wanted one person for the entire time that he was going to be on leave. So that way, they weren't having to figure out who is the acting director this time versus this time. So no problems, except they had rolled out a new dengue vaccine in the Philippines. The government had approved it and rolled it out and mandated it for children. What they found out was there were some, if you had already been infected with dengue virus, gotten the vaccine, and then gotten sick again, you had a worse illness than if you had not had dengue, got the vaccine, and then got dengue virus. So they ended up pulling it from the market, and there were hearings in their legislature. We had people at our lab over there, making threats at our lab. And so the embassy over there was asking for information, about this and about the work that we did, because the Army had been involved in it, but they saw some signal that it wasn't going to work for us. So we stepped back and we no longer did some of those clinical trials on that. So here I am, the most junior 05 in the directorate, managing 06s, telling the 06, this is what I need from you. And the 06 pushing back and saying, well, I don't really think we need to do that. And saying, no, Colonel so-and-so, that's what I want. That's what you need to give me. And then, so I was the in-between, the lab in the Philippines and our folks there. And the parent command at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research, who the commander at the time was our now Corps Chief, Colonel Whitmer. So I was giving her and her staff briefings and updates and sending RF requests for information up, and, just trying to manage all of that, because the embassy, in Thailand was also wanting information, the embassy in the Philippines, and, just, managing an international incident like that was, it was stressful, but I had some really good folks backing me up, and working with me, and, kind of convincing the recalcitrant 06s to get in line with what I was wanting, because it wasn't unreasonable. So I think that is the most memorable leadership experience. And from that, that's when Rob O'Connell sat down with me and said, hey, you impressed some people when you were the acting director. Have you ever thought about command? You could stay in veterinary pathology and research and be great and do great things there, but you should think about command. And so I did, and fortunately I was selected for command. And so that was the first time I had anyone sit down and talk to me about my future and thinking of something different.
Yeah, that's good.
So my most memorable personal experience, I'll try not to get too choked up on this one.
Okay.
Again, over in Thailand, one of my Thai employees, Kun Jimmy, was in the Department of Veterinary Medicine. He ended up having lymphoma, intestinal lymphoma. Had surgery, went through chemo, some immunotherapies and stuff. And so if anyone has seen, I'll hold this up. Hopefully y'all can see this. So if anyone has seen this on like some of my avatars and stuff, so Kun Jimmy did this for my promotion to Lieutenant Colonel. He drew that. And so that was used for some of the food there. So Kun Jimmy's very special to me, and I enjoyed him. Had a phenomenal collection of shoes. I swear the guy had a different pair of shoes for every day. And but I was in work on President's Day, which was a holiday, but I had to go in and catch up on slides, because at the time I was the XO for AFRMS, and I was also still doing pathology as the chief pathologist there. So I was in on a holiday, and some of the Thai staff was also in doing some work, and they said, we're going to go visit Kun Jimmy at the hospital. Do you want to go? And I said, yeah, I'll go. So I went with Kun Jimmy, or I went to visit Kun Jimmy. It just went, once he got settled in, he'd been kind of agitated a little bit, been in and out of consciousness, but I went in, he was pretty lucid and was talking, and, there were some other people around, I just got to stand there and hold his hand and, just be with him and be there for him. And I can't remember if it's that day or the next day, they moved him to the cardiac critical care unit, and that he didn't really regain consciousness after that. What the doctors told his wife, who also worked for us, was sometimes that surge of energy will happen when people they greatly respect will be around. And I was there for the ceremony when before Kun Jimmy died, to anoint him as a monk, and then participating in the ceremony, the funeral ceremonies for him. I think that's the most memorable experience for me. Just being there and having that time with someone, knowing that they were probably going to die, and just being there to hold their hand and help comfort them, and the family and stuff. And it's something I won't ever forget. Truly special for me to have had that experience and opportunity with him.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, sir. I appreciate it. Yeah. Give us a life lesson that you would like to leave us with.
Know the difference between important and urgent. So this is something I failed at many times. And I like to ask people this, especially the new captains coming in that are in the first year graduate veterinary education program, or new officers coming in, or NCOs, is, what do you prioritize? Do you prioritize important or urgent? And, they don't really understand the terms. And so a lot of them will say urgent. And so important is the way to decide if something's important is Is it important to someone that matters to you?
That's right.
Will your presence make a difference? And will this happen again? And I could tell you a story of where I failed miserably on this. So my daughter Claire and I share the same birthday. She was born on my 30th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I had an opportunity, I was in Thailand at the time, to come back TDY for a course that would have occurred over our birthday. Talked to my wife. She said, I think it's a good opportunity. I think Claire will be okay. You know, why don't you go ahead and go? So I went, and then I was flying back on our birthday, and I called Claire from the airport. She talked to me about 10 seconds and then started crying, and she couldn't talk to me anymore. So I flew back to Thailand on my birthday alone by myself, knowing that, you know, I had utterly disappointed my daughter. Couldn't get that back. You know, nothing was going to put me there because it was her 10th birthday and my 40th birthday. Oh, wow. So in our family, going to 10 is a big deal because you're double digits now.
Yeah.
So missing that was just, it was horrible. I'd give anything to go back and change that. The other thing too, but I would go back and change that. So what we did then is when we moved from Thailand back to the States, we moved on our birthday. So we had a 36-hour birthday to kind of make up for it. And so she had packed little presents for herself, and she's going to open them up along the, you know, on the trip and for herself. So that was one way to make it up. You know, someone who got this sooner than I, and kind of helped reinforce that I need to prioritize important, was actually First Sergeant Villarreal. He called me one day. He said, "Hey, sir, I'm gonna be late to work. It's my birthday, and my boys want to have breakfast with me." Okay, yeah, no problem. You know, take time. Come in when you get here. About 2 hours later, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, sir, do you mind if I take the day off today? I'll submit a DA-31, a leave form tomorrow. You know, we got some stuff planned here. The boys want to do some stuff with me. Is that okay?" Absolutely. You need to be home for your birthday and spend the time with your family. So, you know, that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest lesson is, you know the difference between important and urgent and when to prioritize one over the other.
That's awesome. That's awesome. OV, he's different. He's different now that he's a married man and a father. Because V that I knew in Bragg, that dude was still learning the difference between important and urgent.
Judging by some of the stories I've heard, yeah, he definitely needed to learn that.
Yes, but
he's got it down now. So.
Absolutely. I mean, that dude, seeing him as the leader he is now it's amazing. It's so good just to see the people that progress through, you know, when you've seen them at different levels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so awesome.
He has a way of just building a rapport with everyone around him and all the soldiers that are under him and that work for him or with him, and you know, not only building that rapport but building the trust, and just he just has an uncanny sense of knowing what's going on down to the lowest level, to where when he gets on these calls with, you know, the sergeant major, she'll ask questions and, you know, he knows what's going on. Some of the other ones are maybe like, "Oh, I'll have to check on that and get back to you." But, you know, that was one of the things that Sergeant Major said about him. You know, he knows what's going on in his branches and sections, and, you know, down to the individual soldier level. So he just, I learned that from him, and trying to work on that myself. So
yeah, that's good. All right, sir. So what is some advice for young leaders questioning the next step forward? They're questioning their ability to take charge and lead.
So, first of all, you can do it. You're not going to get any better by staying the same. Oops, did I wake him up?
No.
So you're not going to grow personally, professionally by just carrying on with the status quo. You need to push yourself. You need to be in uncomfortable situations to progress to that next level. So you may not have the skills for it right now, but you will. But probably the biggest thing I would say is, and I don't know who I heard this from, if it was the Surgeon General or someone else, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Absolutely.
So like me, I've got 3 board certifications, DVM masters that I got at the same time. Going to be promoted to 06. People don't care about that. You know, it might be impressive to some people, but the folks that I'm working with, they want to know that I care about them and the work they do. That's right. So if they know I don't care for them, they're just gonna come in and punch your ticket, do the minimum, and go home at the end of the day. So.
Yep, and you're not gonna develop that team, and you'll see it when stuff hits the fan, right?
Absolutely.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
So I would say the ability to fly and not crash into anything, including the ground.
That's right.
I just think it would be so cool just to go up and fly around and see things from a different perspective and get up, kind of away from things and be out there, kind of on my own. I think that's what it would be. I just think that would be an amazing experience. That would be my superpower.
Look, so you're the only person that clarified that ability to fly with the caveat, like, and land and not crash, right?
As a pathologist, I'm well attuned to causes of death and so accidents, and so I want to make sure I don't become one of those sooner than I need to be.
That's right. Because look, a lot of people are thinking that you can fly, but they're thinking flight and they're thinking about Superman. But Superman not only could fly, but he was indestructible at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So if he did crash, he wasn't hurt by crashing.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured I'd throw that in there. I don't want to crash to anything, especially the ground. So.
That's right. So give me your Mount Rushmore of leaders. Some people who have been instrumental in helping, create you to be the person you are right now. And that could be professional, personal, past, present, current.
Okay, so Rob O'Connell will be the first one. He's in 06, but he insisted I called him Rob and made fun of me when I called him sir twice within 3 minutes. He was the director when I was the XO at Aframs. He's the one that sat down with me and said, "Hey, Matt, have you ever thought about this?" He's someone I still keep in touch with. I ran things by him to get his opinion, when I had some concerns or didn't really know what to do while I was in command. Someone I trusted and valued their opinion. So I think him, because, like I said, he's the first person that did that for me. He had something else that I learned from him that I use today. And, I will be 100% honest, 90% of the leadership tactics, techniques, and procedures, I borrow from other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or don't do what someone else did.
I think I would still fall into the same thing.
Yeah. So we were on a call with the rare chief of military HR, Dr. Chando. And, we were trying to get some things straightened out and trying to iron out some wrinkles between us and them, the parent ship. And so we were on a call with them in the evening, and, Dr. Chando's like, "Oh, I'm glad you all talked to me. I have to take time to talk to me. I realize it's the evening, but, hopefully we can get this figured out stuff." And Rob goes, yeah, I'm happy to be talking to you too. But before we get started, why don't you tell me about you? I said, what? Oh, wow, that's really nice. And she kind of didn't know where to begin. And it turns out she had been the former commander of Public Health Command Atlantic, which encompassed PHA Fort Knox, which I was going to. And so she and I immediately had a connection, and she talked about how great Fort Knox was and the command there and the activity and everything. So it just, it changes the dynamics when you do that. So that's something, when I came to the FADL and, when I met with new soldiers and stuff, the first thing I say, "Tell me about you." And most of them have that same reaction because they think the director or the commander is going to come in, talk about their command philosophy and all this and that, talk about them. And when the first things out of my mouth are, "Tell me about you," they almost don't know what to say. Right. I had someone here at the FADL that said, for as long as I've been here, this is the first time the director sat down and talked with me.
Oh, wow.
So, that's kind of sad. But anyway, so the thing I learned from Rob O'Connell and his mentorship and guidance and stuff, he would be one. The next one would be someone you've never heard of, John Prunty. So he's my father-in-law. Between him and my grandma Wegner, my grandma Betty, those are two of the nicest people I have ever met. To the point that, in 1999, John had a tumor on his cervical spinal cord up in his neck. turned out to be lymphoma. So Kara's my wife now, but we were dating. I don't know if we were engaged at the time, but we were both taking summer school, and so she got the call that her dad was going in for emergency surgery the next day, and so we drove back. Stayed at the hospital until he was out of surgery. He went into the ICU, and I went back to visit him and stuff. And I think the other people had stepped out or something. Her brothers and mom had stepped out, and the nurse came in and goes, "So is this one of your kids?" He said, "Bear in mind, this guy just got out of spinal cord surgery and was in the ICU." He said, "No, he's not one of mine, but he's a keeper." And so. Yeah. That still stays with me, and I just, for him to say that at that time, he could have just said, "No, he's not one of my kids. He's dating my daughter," but he didn't. And to this day, like, I view him as a father to me. He's one of the nicest men. Vietnam veteran, served in Da Nang and served in the Navy, and just again, one of the nicest, smartest guys. He's got the only independent pig swine farm in his county in southwest Minnesota. Been super successful, but he's worked hard for everything he got. Took a losing enterprise and turned it into something amazing. So he would be my next one. I'm not going to say the next person, but I'll just say it's a former commander who taught me a lot of what not to do. Okay. Because of how they treated people, how they treated me, how they talked to people, just everything about them was wrong. The only thing this person did was pick good boyfriends because they dumped her before they got too involved with her. So, but and again, it was a case study in resilience and, trying to maintain the team and keep morale up and keep us moving forward, even though we had this vampire presence there sucking all the life and fun out of the job. When that person left, it was just such a relief to everyone. We had the new commander, and we went to a command-wide training event, and we were all kind of unloading and telling our war stories, and finally the commander did the right thing and said, "Okay, guys, you've had your time to vent and decompress, but we need to move on, so let's stop with this." So that would be the other one I would include in there. And the other one, I don't know this person, but I know her, and that's can I have 4?
Yeah.
Or 3? Okay, well, there are 4 on Mount Rushmore, isn't there?
Yes,
4?
there is 4. Yep.
Okay. Is Nikki Haley. So I don't know if y'all remember her. She was the ambassador to the UN.
Okay.
Under President Trump, but she's American. She's Indian background, so Indian subcontinent background. Her parents are Indian, and but she's there, and she's someone who's super intelligent. She's fearless. She stands up for what is right. I'll never forget this picture of her at the UN Assembly. I don't know if it was the Security Council or the General Assembly was voting on something, and she was the only person that had her hand raised. And it wasn't like this. It was, straight up in the air. She was confident. She didn't care. She was going to stand up and do what was right.
Yes.
And, just seeing that, I just admire her for what she's been able to do with her life and how far she's been able to come. And, ambassador of the UN is a pretty big deal. And, for her fighting for America's best interests in the world, not that we weren't looking out for others' interests, but, making sure that we were looking out for American interests and our allies' interests. I just admire that she's able to be the lone wolf, standing up for what's right.
Okay. That's good. I like your list, sir. So give us a quote that you live by.
A quote that I live by. So I think this comes from Psalm 116. "Be at peace once more, O my soul, for the Lord has been good to you." That was something when I was studying for my pathology board exam. I got 12 weeks to study. And, the pass rate for that board exam is less than 50% typically.
Oh, wow.
And, I was really worried about it. It just caused me so much anxiety and stuff. And I had read that Psalm a long time ago. And so I would continue to go back to that verse, when I was studying, having a hard time studying, not wanting to study, or just feeling frustrated, to just remind myself, no matter what happens, I've been blessed. I have a beautiful family. I have a good career. If I don't pass it this time, I'll get it next time. If I don't get it that time, I'll get it the time after that. I'll get through this. But whatever else happens, I've been blessed. If I don't hit this one thing, it doesn't change the blessings that I have in my life. And so, and just remembering that, God's on my side and he's there to support me. And, if his plan is for me to, have to go back and take the exam twice, that's his plan, and I'll deal with it. But, that's one thing it's one of the quotes I live by. And, our pastor last week said, when someone asked, how are you doing? He said, the Lutheran theologic answer should be better than I deserve. Because it's true. If you look at what we deserve, it's eternal damnation and the fiery pits of hell. But by the grace of God and Jesus Christ, we don't. And so
that's right.
And it's all free and it's for us. And so I am truly blessed beyond measure, and blessed better than I deserve to be blessed.
That's right. That's that grace. That grace.
Yes.
Yes. I love it. What's your legacy, sir?
So, my legacy, if I'm not on with this, let me know. So, I hope that the people I've worked with and led truly know how much I cared about them. Unfortunately, I did quite a few Article 15s, which for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like a way for a commander to administer justice without a hearing, but I can impose punishment. At the time, I could impose punishment like reduction in rank, forfeiture of pay, restriction to the installation, extra duty, all of that, or any combination of those, depending on, what I felt and the level of the soldier's remorse. But one thing is, I knew there was a person on the other side of that desk that was going through something awful.
Yeah.
So as much as they hated it, I hated it too. It's a part of my job. So I made sure to, whatever I did, to treat them with dignity and respect. After that was done, I didn't treat them like, hey, go stand in the corner. I don't want to talk to you. You're not worth my time.
That's right.
No, I kept engaging with them, talking to them. How you going? How's work going? And trying to talk to them, show that, yeah, this happened, but I still care about you. I still want you to be successful.
Right.
I want you to get past this, learn from this, and, make better choices so we don't have to do this again. I truly do care about you. I think someone who, if you watched my change of command speech, if I had to choose between Major Kelly Millette protecting one of her soldiers and a mama grizzly protecting her cubs, I'd choose Kelly Millette any day of the week and twice on Sundays, because her level of caring and passion towards her soldiers was just outstanding, to the point that it literally saved a soldier's life. Soldier didn't show up for formation, didn't show up for work. They went to the house. Turns out the soldier had made a suicide attempt. They were able to call 911, get the soldier to the hospital, get the soldier treatment. And, the NCOs that worked for her, emulated that same level of compassion and caring and love for their soldiers. That's and right. So I'm going to get choked up on this one. So at their FTX, this past spring, I gave the soldier supervisor and Major Millette one of my command coins. I said, I hope this coin, here's why I'm giving it to you. Because I want you guys to see, the soldier that made the attempt. I want you to know that when you look at this, there are people that love you and care about you and are so very happy that you are still here with us. And so when you're having a down day, you look at that coin, you pick it up, you feel it, you roll it around your hands, and remember how much we love you and how much we care about you and we want you to be here. You're a member of the team, and I got to see that soldier recently after leaving command. It was so good to see her. And to the NCO and Major Millette, I said, you guys see this, I want you to know how very, very thankful I am for your level of caring and taking care of this soldier, because you literally saved a life. And if I could give you anything your heart desires, I would give it to you. But I want this coin to be a reminder to you of my appreciation and the soldiers' appreciation of your caring and dedication to them. So I think that's what I would hope, is that that they know that I truly cared about them, regardless of their circumstances. I valued each and every member of the team. I didn't like everyone in the command. I'll be honest, but I hope the people that I didn't like didn't pick up on that from me.
Yeah.
And I hope I did a good job. Maybe some of the people out there watching can tell you if it did or not.
I think you did a good job, sir. I like your speech that you gave on your pen. The you want to tell us about the pen?
So this is my signing pen. Again, not something I got. It was when I went to the senior officer legal orientation course at the JAG Center in school. This was one of the recommendations of the lawyers. They said maybe if it was the lawyers or one of the general officers, but have a signing pen. That way, anytime you were doing an Article 15, you're signing a counseling, you're signing an award, you're signing anything, you're going to take it out, you're going to hold that pen, and you're going to remember the importance and weight that what you're signing carries. I use this and my challenge to my soldiers was, help me run this out of ink because of good things, because I'm signing too many awards, too many promotion certificates, not the bad things. And I use this. I have note cards. Did I give you a PHA Knox note card? Did I write you one?
Not for leaving, but throughout my time there, yes sir, I did.
Okay. So yeah, I had note cards printed. Hang on, I got some for the FADL. I can show you. So it's just these. It's got the FADL symbol, says from the director, and for the PHA Knox one, it had the Knox command. And so when we had COVID, none of our veterinary clinics shut down, which means all of our NAF staff worked. Our non-appropriated fund staff, civilians, they worked the entire time. Right. And they were doing car side service, taking payments over the phone, talking to clients and owners over the phone. They never stopped working. There were other clinics that shut down and quit working for 2, 3, 4 months. And their folks went on, they got paid to stay home and not work. I was so appreciative of them that I wrote each of them a note and mailed it to them, thanking them for their dedication to the job and to our war fighters, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, for staying on and having that care. And, it wasn't, a gift card to, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse or, a $50 bottle of wine or something. But, do you remember Mr. Lee?
Chief
Lee there?
Chief Lee? Yeah.
So he got a certification with, I can't remember what it was, but I wrote him a card. He texted me. He's like, "Sir, this is the first time I've ever got a note from a commander. I put it up on my refrigerator." And, he sent me a picture of that. And then I wrote one to Captain Lasankas when he got out. He actually framed it. That's awesome. So I think that's something to do. Just take time and recognize people with a note of thanks. And, like I said, it's nothing monetary, but sometimes just writing that and showing them that you took the time to write this down and to thank them and showing them how appreciative you are and thankful you are, goes a long way. And, I did that. We just had an accreditation visit for one of our accreditations. So everyone that participated, demonstrated to the auditor how we do our procedures. I wrote them all a note and gave it to them. And, some of them I see, they pinned it up on their bulletin board in their office. So, So I think that's one way that I show people that, I do care about them and they're important. So if they can read my handwriting, it's even better and more meaningful. So,
but at least you're a doctor and you have handwriting that's a little hard to look
at,
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you called and said that you asked for a lot of times, let me get the soldier's personal address. And first thing it's like, oh shoot, and then, first time be like, no, he's going to send them, a personal letter. And so just get these letters, and they were very stoked about it. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah, I tried to give, I didn't do birthdays, but I did, births of babies. Again, I didn't send a gift card because I didn't for the first one. I want to be fair. And
right, absolutely.
As proliferative as our folks were, I'd probably run out of money. So, and then, if someone, if a family member happened to pass away, I think those are two significant events in a person's life that, they need they need something from me as the commander and from first sergeant as the leaders, to show that we know what's going on, and we're here to support them however we can.
That's right.
I'd even come change diapers in the middle of the night, but they all live too far away for me to do that.
No, but we gave them time to do that.
Yes, definitely. They get more time than they did now.
That's right.
The caregivers, I got 10 days of paternity leave for my last two, and now I think they get 21 days of secondary caregiver leave. It's great. I'm super happy they have that. I wish they would have thought of it 10 years sooner, but it is what it is.
All right, sir. So we rounding it out. You got a humble brag, a humble boast, a little shameless plug you want to stick in there?
So my humble brag would be that, I have 3 board certifications. It's not something I like to brag about because I just happen to be good at studying and taking multiple choice tests. So that's one of my gifts, apparently. And, I did get picked up for Colonel on this first look, which was a complete surprise. I was so not counting on it that I said, if I get picked up for 06, I'm going to buy the new Army Service Green uniform. I was like, I got picked up. I was like, crap. So I ended up buying it at Marlowe Wyatt, and it's what I'm going to wear for my promotion ceremony.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So my shameless plug, I think it goes out to you and, what you're doing with this platform and getting, diverse backgrounds of leaders and business owners and stuff together for people to learn from. Because like I said, most of the things I learned from leadership, I learned by watching. Some of it's intuitive, but a lot of it, I learned from someone else. And, if you don't have those conversations and talk to people and are around people, surround yourself with good people, you're going to miss out on that. So, what you're doing here, I think is, invaluable to those up and coming leaders and entrepreneurs. So kudos to you, and thank you for doing this. This is, absolutely amazing.
Oh, sir, you made me say "who." I'm trying to get rid of that word. I haven't said it in like 2 months. I've been doing good. You just brought a "who" out of me, so.
That's good, though.
It is good. I miss this part of serving. Just good people, good conversations, and the camaraderie. I really do miss that part.
Yeah.
But I didn't lose it. And that's the beauty of doing this. And the shameless plug, I will piggyback on yours. Sergeant Mustache. Good old Sergeant Sanchez. He really pushed for this show for me to get on this platform. He's like, you're going to get out. People are going to miss out on all the information. And I'm like, I don't really have anything to talk about. I don't really like talking. We all know that when I start, it's hard to stop.
We're 2 talkative introverts. You get us talking, we like to go. So,
isn't that crazy though, sir?
Yeah.
It's like, how does that happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to those guys. Him and Sergeant Guzman, they really pushed until finally I said yes. And here I am, a year later, still doing it. So.
Yeah, one of the soldiers up there got picked up for E6, so I sent them a note, and I think some of them are surprised I still remember them, but I like to follow them and congratulate them when they make those promotions. That's a big deal.
It is. It absolutely is. So, sir, you want to try this lightning round?
Sure, I wrote down answers, so it shouldn't be. Should go pretty quick.
Let's get into the lightning round for everybody that's still out there with us. While we go through the lightning round, what you do is you answer the questions too and type them in and see if any of your answer matches his. And your answers will pop up there and we will see. So, let's get to it, sir. All right. 3 most top played songs. I was going to say on your iPod, but those are almost gone too. So, on
there's a market for them coming back because they're so much more functional, but anyway.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick 3 songs to play, I kind of have an eclectic taste in music. So first would be Thunder by Imagine Dragons. It Ain't the Whiskey by Gary Allan.
Okay.
And the last one is a toss-up. But I'm going to go with Tiny Dancer by Elton John, who I'm going to see in concert here in San Antonio on the 29th of October. He's doing his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road farewell tour.
Really?
So $70 for nosebleed tickets, but
wow.
That's cheap. So those are my 3.
Okay, good stuff. What's your go-to for inspiration?
So if I'm looking for mental inspiration, I'm going to say the Bible. If I'm looking for physical inspiration, it's going to be Evanescence or Boston. Any of their songs, they get me so motivated.
Okay.
I used to listen to Evanescence when I was a captain. If you know Sergeant, I think he's retired now, First Sergeant Castaneda.
I know Castaneda.
When he was the 248th detachment sergeants, he was telling the captains about how fast I was at surgeries. I have Evanescence blasting in the surgery suite. So he was telling them they need to be more like me, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. All right, what's your favorite pastime?
So my favorite pastime that I really get into actually is reading. So it's just one of those things, like I get into the zone with it, like other people get into the athletics, where I'm like picturing what's happening and time stands still. I could spend 8 hours on a good book, and that's where I'm at.
So are you totally into just the traditional reading, or do you try some of the audiobooks too?
So I did some of the audiobooks when I was doing my residency, because I was commuting back and forth from Frederick to DC. And if I didn't have music, I got tired of listening to like 10 minutes of commercials on the radio.
Yeah.
I'd get mad, which made my driving mad because of traffic. And so I would get books to listen to, a lot of like spy or investigative, like Jack Reacher or some of David Baldacci's audiobooks to listen to. I tried C.S. Lewis once and it was just too deep. I kept having to hit rewind, and I couldn't follow it.
I thought it was just me. I listened to a lot of C.S. Lewis, and he get real deep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I figured out pretty quickly I need to stay to fiction. I just need something there that I can listen to and kind of turn my brain off and just listen. So
okay, good stuff. I've gotten into audiobooks and I really do enjoy them. But C.S. Lewis, he's one of my favorites, but he is a deep. You got to replay a lot of his stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay, favorite duty station.
I would say wherever I'm at, because it's always great, but if I'm going to pick one, it's going to be Bangkok, Thailand. It's just the food, the people, other than the heat and humidity.
Yeah.
The opportunity for travel is just amazing.
Yeah. So,
and the work they do there.
So when I say the favorite duty station, I'm not saying like your people. So the people are just the area.
Oh, no, it's definitely Bangkok.
Okay. Jill Junkie popped in. She said, "What's poppin', Papa Gift and Guest? What's up, Jill Junkie? You must be on a lunch break." They got in there working, sir. She be in there training them jokers. Okay, what's your favorite person in history? One of your favorite people in history.
Can I go with the group and say the signers of the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah.
So that would be my favorite group in history. Same thing, sedition, risking their lives. They could have been hung for treason and sedition. So
that's right.
If you ever get a chance to go to the National Archives in Washington, D.C., you can see the Constitution and the original Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Very, very worth it to go.
Okay, what's the best time to go? Because we went through there. I've been through there like a bunch of times when I was stationed in Norfolk, but also just traveling back and forth. Like my brother retired. We did the Pentagon. He did his retirement at the Pentagon, and we did the tours. But I would like to go into those places like that, and actually see that stuff. I like history. I used to be really big history buff.
So it changed. We went out there in 2021 for summer. Of course, this was when COVID was kind of slowing down. Things were opening up again, but you had to have a timed entry.
Yeah. And
so we went and we were able to get in. But if you're active duty military in uniform, you can go to the front of the line. But try to avoid the non-tourist times. So if you can go off season, like maybe in the fall, that'd probably be a good time to go. Or winter's probably even better because there's probably fewer people there. Right. So
yeah, that's when I'll try to do it then. Favorite food?
Meat.
Meat?
Meat. Any kind of meat.
Okay. What's your favorite group or artist? Or
what do you mean by group? Like music group?
It could be music. Music group, artist.
So my favorite artist, again, this is kind of a wide range. So Gary Allen, one of my favorite country artists, actually my favorite country artist. Imagine Dragons, Elton John, which I didn't get into until recently. I kind of developed an appreciation for his music.
Okay.
Passenger, which if anyone's familiar with him, he's from England or Great Britain. And then a weird one, Norah Jones. I just kind of like some of her music. Kind of helps calm me down sometimes.
Absolutely. So. I used to study her music.
Yeah.
Okay, childhood hero.
So growing up in Iowa, wrestling is huge. It's everything for our winter sports. So, Dan Gable coached the Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team, which was, if you were in Iowa wrestling and you wanted to go to college, that's the team you wanted to be on, was the Iowa Hawkeye wrestling team. So he's just, his wrestling career was just amazing. He only lost one match, and his entire 4-year career went on to medal at the Olympics, and just built a powerhouse after powerhouse of wrestling teams in Iowa. And so it's he was my childhood hero back then. We used to see him at the wrestling meets, and nobody wanted to talk to him because he'd just sit there rocking back and forth watching them, and they just had such intense look. You're afraid if you go over there, he's gonna take you down and have Nelson pin your cradle or something. So
put you in a crucifix.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what's your favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon is He-Man.
He-Man, all right.
Tried watching this with my kids and they just laughed, and so I just shut it off. I couldn't watch it while they were laughing at him and
they probably
making
have to
fun
watch
of it.
the newer one, the up-to-date version of it.
Yeah, they weren't thrilled with the clothing and the loincloth and stuff. But
No, I can see that. We love it and we romanticize it in our heads, be like it was the greatest, and then you put it on and the kids are like, what is this?
it's not SpongeBob, I'll tell you that much.
That's right. That's crazy. Yo, I'm gonna tell you real quick. I put on what was it? The Wizard of Oz for the kids, thinking like it's a classic. They gotta love it. Oh no, my kids was like, if you don't turn this thing off, I think I scared them actually. I was like, well, can't take them down those rabbit holes.
Do you want to know the scariest movie I watched?
What's that?
Have you ever heard of or seen The Dark Crystal?
I've heard of it and I may have seen it. What was it about?
It was this weird Muppet movie. It was just super creepy, and like I watched it, like I still get the heebie-jeebies when I think about it now as a 45-year-old. Like I can't watch it. I can't think about it. It's just just the scariest movie I've ever seen. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, all that stuff growing up.
And it was that Muppet.
I'd rather have Freddy come visit me at night than have to watch that. So.
Yeah. It's crazy, but that's probably how the kids felt watching what I was trying to give them to watch.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Marvel or DC?
This is going to be sad. You're probably going to shut me off after this. I have seen neither Marvel nor DC movies, so I got to plead innocence.
You never read any of the comic books coming up?
No, I never got into the comic books. It's just, I like Calvin and Hobbes. Does that count?
Yeah.
So,
Calvin and Hobbes is good. I like Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Sunday Comics. That was yours? The Calvin and Hobbes?
that was mine. I got a lot of the books. My kids have a lot of the books. That was what some of my kids started reading, was because, it was funny and, they could relate to Calvin. My son, we had to get after him because he tried to use the emergency fire ladder. He'd taken the screen off of his window. It was going to climb down the emergency fire ladder until my wife found it. It was like, absolutely not. So, because Calvin had done that one night. So,
you're not supposed to repeat this stuff.
No.
Joe Junkie says she's making sure Baby Hulk hasn't taken over. No, he is. He's still asleep.
All right.
Sound. As long as we're making noise, we're good. As soon as I stop talking, he's gonna wake up and be like, "What's going on? Let's get back to it." 100 miles an hour. When he starts moving around, I'm gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, your adult hero.
It's a toss-up between my grandma Betty and John Prunty, who I talked about. They're both just the kindest people. My grandma especially. My parents divorced at an early age, didn't have a real stable wasn't terribly unstable, but it wasn't stable either. And her and my grandpa were the constants in my life, and I knew they always loved me. She was a great cook. Sometimes I'd take advantage of that, but if we had to interview someone for like history class, I would time it to like right after supper. So I go over there, she asked me if I want something to eat. So, oh yeah, sure, just fix me a plate of food so I get 2 suppers. And so but same thing with John. He's the nicest guy, one of the nicest people I've met, and I just so enjoy being around him, and the joy he has in watching his grandkids and seeing them grow up, and the joy and pride he has in what my wife and I have been able to do, and with our family and stuff. So it's really great to see that. So those are my adult heroes.
Okay. Favorite vacation spot?
So again, 2, if that's permittable.
Yeah.
But so the first one is Chiang Rai, Thailand. It's the northernmost province of Thailand. So if anyone knows, so that's where the soccer team, the Wild Boars soccer team, got trapped. Was in the cave up there.
Okay. The
The
movie that just came out?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely watch it. Awesome movie.
Okay.
I watched it. It was great. So my family and I have been to the cave. Our Thai teacher's parents live up there, and it's just so much more laid back and relaxed up there. It's like the feeling I get when I go to my farm in South Dakota, that everything's just lifted and I'm relaxed and at peace. And the same thing up there. Her parents are like our kids' Thai grandparents, and we just had a great time every time we went up there. And so, and it's so beautiful up there. I just, I consider retiring and living up there. The other one is Kathmandu, Nepal. Again, the people there are really nice.
Nepal. Yes.
Oh, definitely go. The people there are really nice. The food's great. It's great to get around shopping. They actually have some good beer there, which is impressive. And so we have some folks that we predominantly my wife met through tours, and like she's actually kept in touch with them. One of them came to Bangkok with their mom, and her mom and dad, and we met them for supper one night, and went out to eat with them. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 favorite vacation spots.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Look, you're a good travel person, So I got one last question for you. Do you remember? I forget that you schooled me up on some of the different beers. What was the beer that the monks were making, and they got so famous on it, and then they stopped production, and you can only get it now if you go over? I can't remember if it's Germany or if it's Belgium area.
It's probably Belgium. It's probably one of the Trappist ales that makes it. I don't know which one. I have a friend who's into Belgian beers. I could ask him, and I can get you that information. But there's some of them that you can only get over there. Yeah. And some of my friends that have been in Germany ship back 100 cases of beer.
Exactly.
We're working through it. So
we shipped back a bunch of wine, because I was like, look, this is. I like the ice vine, the glue vine. I like it. So I ran into somebody the other day who was like, man, that glue vine sucks. And I was like, what?
I don't think we can be friends anymore.
Like, let me close this door on you, buddy. But no, sir. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's usually supposed to be like an hour, only because, people was like, sorry, you got to cut it back. But man, when and I'll back up. Yesterday, Baby Hope was going crazy, and my guest, it went by real fast. But I was like, it's an hour already. I was watching the time. I'm like trying to make sure. He was like, man, I didn't know it was an hour already. Man, I thought we was gonna keep going. And I was like, man, we could have, but just didn't want to. I'm trying to be respectful of time.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't do that right now is because I know that you're in, you're kind of geo-batching it right now. So.
Yeah, I gave my family the link, so I'm not sure if they tuned in to watch or not. So.
Hopefully they.
But I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see them next week. I go back for leave, and so it's my wife's birthday, so I'm gonna go spend some time with the family. My son's coming home from college for the weekend, and So thanks to United messing with my flight times, I was able to move my return flight from Saturday to Monday at no charge, and so yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you so much, sir, for taking time to spend. I was gonna ask you a bunch of vet questions, but like don't do stupid. Um, if it's hot for you, But I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna save those for Rachel. She's gonna be on the show pretty soon, and Sam is gonna be on this show pretty soon. So yeah, I think I'll save those questions for them unless we go down, different rabbit holes, and we'll see.
Is
But
that Lovell?
yeah, she's out
Yeah,
now.
save
She's
it,
out.
save it for the clinical vet. I'm a dead animal vet. Like
Yeah.
my treatment of choice is euthanasia. I'm just joking, but like I haven't done clinical medicine in so long. It's I wouldn't know which antibiotic or painkiller to reach for
Oh
anymore.
my goodness. But it's okay because you train up. Well, that's my cue. Thank you again, sir. Thank all of you guys for hanging out with us. And, if you haven't done so, go on in there and click that subscribe button. And we will see you on the next show. Peace, love, and God bless y'all. We out.